Hey folks, this is Rebel Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Tornado, Tony Petticoat.
And Psychic Tom Paget with this crystal ball unveiled. Ready to go.
And we got a good show for you. We got a lot to cover. Big news in boxing. The fight of the century has been signed between none other than Mike Tyson and Logan Paul. Set for February.
I heard they were signing something like that.
Yeah. I guess it's been now scheduled for February. We'll see if that really goes through or not. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be much of a show.
Before we go any further, I'm going to tell you how much of a bad influence you are on me. So today, it was either yesterday or today, I think it was today. I'm at work and I'm a little busy, a little stressed out, a little annoyed because I don't like the new management team that they put in place, and I think they're incompetent. So a little stressed out, and we have something for the client that I handle when these people go out of work for a little bit. They approve a leave form, and they check if they have vacation and if they owe any back deductions and so on and so forth. So today there was a guy, and his name was Jesus, just say Lopez Martinez, right? And I get the request for Jesus Lopez Martinez, and I put it through. And so now another person they is on the email chain is to check if they have any vacation, that can be added to their leave. And all she says is no, and it looks to me like no. Jesus does not have any vacation. I'm like, God damn it, poor guy. He spends all this time feeding the homeless, curing lepers, turning bread into fish.
Jesus doesn't get a vacation.
And nobody can give me a goddamn vacation. I know, it's so wrong. Doesn't at least get Sundays off?
Right. Nope. He died for you, but he gets no vacation. What is wrong with this world? But that's a good transition into one of the stories that I have for us this week. And it involves professional wrestling, Tony. One of your favorite subjects. You probably could get these guys cheap on cameos now because Ring of Honor Wrestling is apparently releasing all their talent from their contracts at the end of 2021. So, if you ever want
I heard some. A friend of mine texted me that today, and I didn't have a chance to look into it.
Yeah, it just went out. A bunch of stories, and they're planning a pivot, they say, with a new mission and strategy, but it will require a brief hiatus for at least the first quarter of 2022. Final battle event on December 11th will be their last event until further notice. But, I don't know, it sounds like garbage to me, planning a pivot. To what, bankruptcy?
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you watched that series a lot? Ring of Honor?
No, not really. No.
See, that tells you everything right there. The guy who loves wrestling on our show has not even watched it.
It's crazy. It's like, I started really trying to watch TNA a lot. I don't watch as much WWE as I used to. It's like, I grew up, like, when I was a kid, it was a lot of the really cartoony gimmicks, so the territories, like, down south and Midwest and all that, they were more serious wrestling. I grew up, in the Northeast area, which was, the WWF hotbed, and that was more of like a gimmick with the Hulk Hogans and, the Sergeant Slaughters and all them, and, they were doing the cartoons, and they were doing, the Saturday Night Main Event on TV and all that. So, I grew up with that real larger-than-life gimmick. And then interest for a little bit in the early 90s, and then, guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mankind and The Rock kind of brought it back for me. And now it's like, when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, there's some guys like I like, but I'm like, I don't have that same, interest like I did 10 years ago.
Right. So. Well, they're going to take some time to internally reimagine their direction, I guess, is what they're calling it. Internally reimagine. I guess sometimes you got to do that. What that really means, we'll find out probably in another few months or so. But I don't know. Maybe they will be able to figure something out. Maybe they'll be gone. But hey, it was good while it lasted, I guess. Whoever was watching it. Another guy who's internally reimagining his situation could lead to external reimagining. Mike Perry, UFC veteran. He has signed a bare knuckle fighting championship contract, multi-fight deal. Big surprise there. He's known for his in the cage and outside the cage antics. Known also for his girlfriend being his trainer, who does not have much
Horse face.
mixed martial arts experience herself.
Well, that was his old girlfriend. He's got a new one now.
Oh, is she a personal trainer now? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But no debut opponent date or location has been revealed at this time. It's a secret. He's lost 4 of his last fights, unfortunately, in the UFC, so probably wasn't an option to re-sign with them. Key victories, though, over tough guys: Jake Ellenberger, Paul Felder, Alex Oliveira, and Mickey Gall. So we'll see. The guy doing really well in the bare knuckle. There was a fighter that reminded me a lot of him. Got a key victory in MMA this weekend. And it's Hector Lombard is the guy I'm thinking of that reminds me of the dude that got this victory. And we'll talk about the guy I'm talking about, present day MMA, in a few minutes. But Perry's actions have created controversy outside the ring as well as inside the ring. He's accused by his ex-wife, Danielle Nickerson, of domestic violence in 2020. And he also... That came on the heels of him punching an older man at a bar in Florida. That was a viral video that went around. And Dana White later stated the promotion had ordered Perry to receive alcohol dependency treatment. There was also a video of him smashing a glass window and bleeding everywhere. I mean, people were worried about him for a little while there. And then, of course, the girlfriend in the corner. And no training team, like, just on his own for a little while. But anyway, he is, if anything else, a very tough, durable individual. And we'll see if it helps his game to cut out all the wrestling and grappling and all that shit and just go toe-to-toe with people. You know, if that style fits him. Who knows? Hector didn't, you'd think with the muscle base that he has and the the wrestling ability and all that, you'd think he would do great in MMA, but he just seems to be doing better in bare knuckle for some reason, which you wouldn't expect, but he is doing that. And a lot of different people going over there and done well. One girl that's probably going to go the other direction and go back to MMA is Paige Vanzant. We're hearing some stories about that lately, too. She might return. And also, speaking of big returns, we had Fedor Emelianenko wasting no time over the weekend in Russia in front of the hometown crowd. Totally knocking out Timothy Johnson. Took him away from his senses for a little while. Just a minute and 40 seconds into the fight in the main event. And I don't know if you've ever dislocated your finger in a fight, but I definitely, if I did, I probably wouldn't pop it right back into place and say, hey, I can go. But that's what Vitaly Minakov did in the co-main event. They actually called it a TKO due to that injury. But he was kind of in trouble before then. Saeed Salma was kind of laying it on thick there with the punishment, and Vitaly somehow just totally dislocated his finger, was pointed up at an awkward angle. Just got it pulled back into place and was ready to go, but they already called the fight off. And then Usman Nurmagomedov got a big win over Patrick Piatia by rear naked choke. 4 minutes and 6 seconds into that fight. And that was a wild one. Before that, Anatoly Tukov over Sharav Davlatumuradov by split decision. Kirill Sadelnikov over Rab Truesdale by TKO. That was in the first round, 2 minutes and 1 second in. I'll go through all the other ones. Lots of Russian names there. And I did not see the real meaty part of the first couple rounds of the main event the other night on UFC 196, but Marvin Vettori got the win. He did enough to win, but it was definitely a very back and forth contest. Oh, sorry, there goes the microphone. Into the trash. I'm trash talking. Marvin Vettori, yeah, he didn't really dominate, but definitely did enough to win. And Paulo Costa, as overweight as he was, still definitely put on a show. Whether it was impressive or not, I mean, that's up to the spectators. But I think they got their money's worth. It wasn't always exciting, but it definitely was competitive. And then we had a co-main event that ended in a draw. Grant Dawson and Ricky Glenn. And this is where I really kind of screwed the pooch. This was a really tough one to pick because there was very few knockouts, and they all mostly happened in the early going. And Grant Dawson was a very expensive fighter. So if you went for him and got the draw, you probably didn't get your money's worth there. I won a couple cards. And one of the guys that you would definitely not expect to get a stoppage, Alex Caceres. Bruce Leroy got himself a rear naked choke submission in the second round, so you pretty much had to have him, and I stayed away from him, thinking he would go to decision. Jessica Rose Clark also went to decision over Jocelyn Edwards. That was a unanimous decision. Francisco Trinaldo beating Dwight Grant by split decision. Nicole Negumereanu over Nikolai, I should say, not Nicole. Isaac Villanueva beat him by TKO 1 minute and 18 seconds in. That was one I did get. I had him. He was my knockout, my one knockout guy. Gregory Rodriguez, also somebody who was kind of caught in the middle of the card, got a knockout over Jun Young Park from punches. That was 3 minutes and 13 seconds into round number 2. Madison Jones over David Anoma by unanimous decision. Or Mason Jones, I should say, not Madison. He was really screwing first names up tonight. Tabitha Ritchie over Maria Oliveira by unanimous decision. Jamie Pickett over Laureano Starapoli by unanimous decision. Jai Herbert over Kama Worthy by TKO. That was in the first round, 2 minutes and 47 seconds in. Jeff Molina over Daniel Lacerda by TKO, elbows and punches, 46 seconds into the second round. And Randa Marcos beating Lavina Souza by unanimous decision. And I didn't see any of these. I only saw the last part of the main event, which was not all that great at that point. They were kind of tired out. First fight of the night, Jonathan Martinez beating Ziviad Lazishvili, also by unanimous decision. So a lot of decisions on this card. And we've got to get some boxing before we put Tony to sleep on this broadcast. We got
I got definitely this coffee running through my veins, guys.
Yeah. Gennady Golovkin is going to have a fight December 29th in Japan against Ryoto Murata. So they have agreed to a deal. It's a title unification bout at Saitama Super Arena. Formal announcement is expected next week. And it's going to be close to Murata's hometown of Tokyo. Sides had an agreement in principle months ago, but Triple G still needed to strike an amended deal with DAZN. DAZN. So he actually has also signed.
So how long has it been? How long has he been inactive?
How long has he been with what? Inactive?
Inactive.
Oh.
Yeah, pre-pandemic?
No, I think it was about a year ago.
December.
I think he
TKO Camilo.
Yeah, he stopped someone in the middle.
Ceramita.
Right. Well, when was that, Rich?
December. Last December.
Okay, I was close. Okay, close counts, I guess.
Right,
Yeah. So, but that was kind of one of those. You kind of knew what the outcome was going to be. So we'll see what his future is. I mean, he is up against it now. He'll be 40 next year.
Wow. It's like, you know how, it's like you really realize now, like how fast time flies anymore. And now,
Yeah.
and Tom, exactly. It's like, you know, and any, like, and I'm like, a lot of times when I sit down and I think, like, I really realized that they had an article today about the one guy that was hoping to be coach of the Eagles, and he got picked over, he went somewhere else, and I'm like, I remember when he was drafted. I'm like, wow. I remember when he was drafted. I'm like, how bad is that? You know, now you have, like, it's like a guy like Oscar De La Hoya, who's, like, been retired for how long now? 10 years, 11 years? No, I think it was 13 years. You know, been retired, like, 13 years. I'm like, I remember when he was in the Olympics. Yeah, you know? You remember, like the beginning days of, like, certain fighters. It's like, and Tom, obviously being a little bit older than me, like, you're going to say, like, yeah, I remember the beginning days of guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, where obviously that was, you know, I was too young to realize at the time, but I remember the beginning days of Mike Tyson, and it was like, it was such a phenomenon. It's like, yo, this kid's fighting tonight. This when he was still rocking up the ranks, moving up the ranks. We got to see where he is. So it's like, now you're thinking, man, Triple G's hitting 40. I'm like, wow. It's like, yeah, I knew he was in the 30s, but I thought he was closer to the 30 part than the 40 part, and he's about to hit the 40.
Yeah, and I remember when this brash young heavyweight, Cassius Clay, was coming up. No one behaved like him. No one talked like him. No one acted like him. I mean, this guy was, and he could fight. No one wanted to believe he could fight. Well, they were wrong about that. But yeah, that's it. Time just goes so quick. Oh man, unbelievable. And I guess you know what that means, guys. We're busy. We're busy.
Yeah.
Because I think the people that are just couch potatoes, time, or like maybe even prison inmates, God forbid, time goes so slow for a lot of people. Not us. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's
I think that's what we're.
I was having dinner with my friends the other night. You know, we were doing pumpkin carving, and I said to my one friend, I said, "Listen, I said, if any photos you have of your son, you know, obviously I have a lot because we're at a lot of events together. But I said, if you have any events from vacations or with you guys, family photos, or with his cousins, I said, send them to me because I got to start working on his calendar." I said, Tony, it's October. I said, you guys got to understand something. I do 3 calendars. I do one for myself, you know, for my own personal self, of all my highlights of the year. I said I do one for Dominic, and I do one for my friend. I would do whatever dog who had passed away. So this year I'm doing kind of a tribute one because her new puppy is, you know, I don't have enough photos to make a whole calendar out of her. I said I got to start this now because it takes me time to do each one, and if I'm looking at doing 36 collages, you know, 12 times 3, and then I get into December, I'll never get it done because I'm working around the clock in December. So, by December hits, I want to have 11 of 12 months done on all 3 of them.
Nice.
And you're right, with that being busy, just like you said, it's like, you know, like I'm taking off. Tom, you'll appreciate this. I got in a little bit of trouble this week because I have a hard time biting my tongue. And
why am I shocked? Why am I shocked?
I know, right? Well, and I've made it well known that the guy that took over managing my team, he kind of inherited us early this year. I don't care for him, and I think in meetings he can tell I don't care for him because I ask questions to make him look foolish. And people that I've had conversations, I said I think he's an asshole, and a lot of things. You know, I don't like the guy. So they decided to give us some type of training, you know, sometime this week. And they're breaking up the whole team to set up for this training. And they scheduled me for today and tomorrow. I said, you morons realize that you have previously approved me to have off tomorrow? Oh, well, this is the only time the training's being offered. Not my problem. I got shit to do. And the shit that I'm going to do is not be at work, whether I work from home or not. Because I'm having to get together tomorrow night, and I won't be able to get all the food ready, decorate, not have to worry about some bullshit. So, they're like, and I told the guy's like, well, we got to get you set up for everything. I said, you do know I'm off, right? No, nobody told me. I said, I'm not surprised. Well, I'm off. Oh, well, can you? No.
No.
Oh, well, we have a makeup session. Good. Put me in it because I ain't going to be here on Friday. You want me to do Thursday? I'll do it Thursday. But I ain't doing Friday because I ain't giving up my day off for you assholes because I'm still having a hard time scheduling to all the days that I need to take that I don't lose.
Yeah.
So if I give up this one, I'll probably end up losing it. So unless you want to pay me double time. You want to pay me double time? Now we'll talk. Oh, they didn't want to go for that. I said, okay, then shut up. I'm off. You want to pay me double time? I'm okay. Then I'll be a little bit more cooperative.
Well, it's funny you mentioned, the whole feeling old thing. My thing is, like, I remember I'm talking to somebody younger and, like, trying to make references to certain things, like TV shows that we used to watch as kids, and they never even heard of them. It's funny. But the real worrying thing is something I heard the other day. They're actually going to be removing all the analog clocks from the schools because most kids cannot read them today. You imagine that?
Wow.
Unreal. But yeah,
Ridiculous.
it's crazy. But the number one issue in politics is actually the schools. And the whole COVID and everything, and how they're treating the kids, and it's getting crazy. But anyway,
I
can't
agree
find
with you.
truckers. That's the problem. That's the big political problem. That's screwing up the whole country. They can't find enough truckers. And ironically, my day job as a logger, I delivered about a cord of wood a couple weeks ago to a guy who is a trucker. And he told me the same thing I heard on the news, that it comes down to the way they're treating those guys. And I have an uncle who's a trucker, too. I don't talk to him much, but he lives down in Pennsylvania, actually. I don't know how close to you, Tony, but he definitely does, has been doing it a long time. I don't know if he still does it now, but it's a tough life. So anyway, bottom line is they just don't treat them well, and they don't pay them what they're worth, and they've got a shortage already. So how can you just keep shitting on a whole class of workers that the country obviously depends on, and especially at a time like this? So it's funny to hear them still say that they're not getting treated well, but they're going to pay like $1 trillion and something dollars to do this stupid infrastructure bill. Ridiculous. But anyway, we digress.
But Rich, I'll tell you right now, you're never gonna get rid of all the country's problems and all the world's problems until you can stop getting the cows to fart.
Stop getting the what? Cows to fart? Oh, yeah. Okay, Bill Gates.
Yeah, you heard about that. That's what they... Yeah, there's the environment because cows fart.
Is that what's causing the wildfires? Somebody doing blue darts out there?
Yeah. It's causing the ozone to Yeah, so make sure the cows don't fart. Oh, by the way, are either of you guys baseball fans?
A little bit, yeah, I'd say.
No.
I'm a pretty big Red Sox fan.
Because I read an article tonight that PETA, an organization that I have no respect for, none whatsoever, wants to change the name of the baseball bullpen because they find it offensive. And I'm not lying. I saw the article. They find it offensive to bulls that have been in the bull racing or bullfights or whatever they do, or where they have them in the pen before they come out and they're prodding them to get them to jump and people off, and when they slaughter a bull for meat or whatever, they hang it upside down and cut its throat. So it's, inhumane. So they want to change it to the not the armband, the arm barn.
I don't know. I've been
It's
outside.
not the, they don't want.
I've been. You and I have both been at Fenway Park, Tony. Right? And very near the bullpens out there in center field. And I've seen a couple pitchers there myself treated worse than the Bulls.
Well, Tony, that is not too far-fetched. Because one of the reasons I despise baseball is the politics. It's become so politically correct. And, of course, you know what happened here in Cleveland. That's beyond... It's despicable beyond words. And you've seen what happened in the All-Star game last year. So this is not too far-fetched. I think Peter smells blood, and they know that the cowards that run Major League Baseball will cave into any woke demand. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, what's stopping it? Which way is the wind blowing? I mean, it's a matter of time for the Braves to lose their name. And it's just that's why I just as far as I'm concerned, the Cleveland Indians were a proud franchise that no longer exists. Right? They don't.
Yeah, I thought we might have
just in my world, because the opposite of love is not hate. It's
Red
indifference.
Sox Braves World Series for once, but it didn't happen. I wasn't surprised though.
So here's with that. So it started with the Washington Redskins, who now are the Washington football team until they figure out a better name. Now we're going to go to the Cleveland Browns. Then we're going to do the Cleveland Guardians, which has already been trademarked by somebody else. So you can't have that. So what's next? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Florida State Seminoles, the Atlanta Braves. Are we going to get? You know what? And the one comedian that I like, the Italian guy from Brooklyn, Anthony Rodea, who I've talked to a few times. He is one of those guys that's politically incorrect, and that's why I really identify with him. So he was on there the one day. He goes, you know what? Here's what we'll do. He goes, make a team like the Brooklyn Guidos. I don't care. Make our color white and green. Don't bother me none. Sounds good to me. Then he called his father. He's like, Dad, would you care if they did that? He goes, I don't care. Goes, make them dress up like mobsters. I don't care. But that's what you need. You need more political incorrectness in the world. Just like Dave Chappelle's coming under a lot of heat right now because of his things, and he's like
ridiculous.
And I love Dave Chappelle. I've always been a fan of him.
Oh wow, one-handed snag. Is he out of bounds?
I was like, I picked the Cardinals in this game. Like, you're going to need to do something about this.
Oh boy.
Nope, out of bounds.
Out of bounds? Yeah, out of bounds. Good. I don't have him on my team. I need Jones to run it in. Anyway. I posted something on my Facebook that I just wasn't even involved in. I haven't even watched the special, but I just had to share it because, I just love how the media gets misinformed about everything, and people at Netflix are threatening to leave the network and leave the company because of this stupid thing that he did. It's a comedy show. Have a sense of humor, people.
Let him leave.
And it turns out I got this video where he was really good friends with a transgender person who ended up having to commit suicide because of all the people that harassed her online because she backed him when he made fun of transgender people. But she could always take the jokes when she made him when he made him around her or him or however you want to call it. But yeah, it's just getting ridiculous. It's okay, everybody wants special treatment, and you're starting to notice they're just mixing all this stuff into traditional TV. They're just encouraging it now. So it's to the point where you cannot go against it at all. You can't even joke about it. You have to be willing to accept everything that they shove down your throats.
It's when you say, we want to be politically correct. We want to treat everybody equal. We want kindness and love and happiness and all that. Unless you disagree with me, then I hate you. And
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, it's like I've had people that will say, like, hate has no home here. You know, in this house we value this, 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 and this. And then, like, and you say, well, yeah, but I believe this. Well, you should go kill yourself. Oh, that sounds pretty hateful to me.
We're very tolerant, but we're intolerant of.
Well, I heard about today. You know how I like to, go after the pharmaceuticals for all the side effects. Well, I heard now today they found out that one of the pharmaceuticals for depression is a good treatment for COVID. So you know what the number one side effect of all the pharmaceuticals for depression are usually suicidal thoughts. so there are people that had COVID to just commit suicide now.
You know, and you guys know that I have kind of a warped sense of humor, and I'm very sarcastic. That's me. You know, a lot of the things I say, I just say because I find humor in them. And, like, once again, like, talking to this comedian, he'll say, like, he's like, my mind works all the time, and he goes, I'm a comedian. My job is to make fun of things. And if you can't laugh, then you have something seriously wrong with you. So, you're right. I find a lot of things, so two of the things they'll tell you about the side effects of the drugs, one being the depression, just like you mentioned, and the other one is smoking. Now, I am a big anti-smoking guy. Always have been. And one will be like, okay, yeah, this patch or whatever for getting you to stop smoking. One of the side effects is possible suicide. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then, like, the tagline for the commercial should be, don't suffer a long, painful death by smoking. Take this product and you'll want to kill yourself anyway, and it'll just save a lot of time.
Over quick.
I did one time, like this. I'm going back about 18 years ago. I was up on a vacation, and I had Vinny with me. So I'm standing outside of the town that we used to stay in when we'd go up to Bar Harbor, Maine. Rich, you know Bar Harbor. So we'd go to Bar Harbor, Maine.
I've never been, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, Bar Harbor.
That's how you gotta say it.
So we'd go up there every year, and it was a dog-friendly town, and you could, go in and, take your dog into a lot of the shops. Well, the one shop was a pharmacy, like a Rite Aid or whatever. So I wasn't bringing them in there. I'm standing outside. I forget if my parents were in there getting something. And these young teenagers, I was about maybe 27-ish, maybe 28. Young teenagers come up to me, looking like, some thugs, hooligans, pants, big hoodies on. It's in, August, Yo, man, go inside and get us a pack of cigarettes. Excuse me? We can't go in and get them. So you can go inside and get me a pack of cigarettes. I said, buddy, I'm standing out here with my dog. I can't bring the dog. We'll watch them for you. No, you won't. And I'm like, listen, by the way, I'd like to let you know that I am the president of my chapter at the youth, for a Youth Against Smoking campaign. I'd like to give you guys my card right now. Now, of course, I'm making all this up. And they're like, they took off. I did it one time. I was like, in the town where I live, I'm standing out there, and I'm standing outside the Wawa or something. Kid comes up to me, yo, man, can you go inside and get me a pack of cigarettes? I'm like, what? I said, I'm just gonna tell you right now. I work for a company that prevents youth smoking. Let me give you my card. I'd like to have a talk with you. I'd like to have you come to one of our meetings.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was funny when I grew up. Talk about feeling old earlier. You could either bring a note, or you could just tell the store owner it was for your parents. But in my case, I was special because I had a little paper route when I was like 12 years old in 6th grade, and I had it for a few years. And so I would always go into this one little corner store, gas station, and I would buy cigarettes there all the time. 12 years old, never carded once. I didn't have a card, obviously, the guy knew. But so much, the guy was so comfortable selling me cigarettes that one day I went in there with my wad of cash, and the motherfucker ripped open a Marlboro carton of cigarettes because they had a free wallet in there. So I had a Marlboro wallet as my first wallet for holding.
Oh, wow.
And I smoked
Wow.
on and off, like right up through high school, like mostly off, but a few years steady, and I was up to like a pack a day at my worst. But I quit finally forever in 2008. Never turned back. I think I might have had like one or two since then when I was drinking, but it's just like ugh, can't stand it. You have to turn yourself to that point where you cannot stand the whiff of it. You just can't. You don't want it around you, and it's like that's what you have to do. You have to be disgusted by it. And it's hard to do when you enjoy it. You've convinced yourself to enjoy it for years. But I'll never forget the day of my last fight at the Nationals in Kentucky. One of the other fighters had a pack of cigarettes in his room, and I picked it up again in college for a couple of years, and after college. You had to do something when I felt like not my lungs were getting damaged so much, but like my heart. You could feel the area around my heart. Like I could feel it just definitely like starting to develop pain and congestion. So that was probably the best move I could have ever made for my health. And I still to this day, somebody lights up a cigarette, I want to tell them to get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. Well,
I can't imagine I ever smoked.
Anti. They're big time. And when I worked, I still obviously work at my True Lot. The first year I worked there was 2009, and only two of us in the whole place did not smoke. The owner smoked. All the other guys smoked. So now we're working outside. So I'm like, we had a trailer there. So if it was cold or rainy or whatever, well, either I sat in the trailer with all the guys smoking, or I stayed outside. So it was kind of, just depending on how cold it was. So now, as we started turning over staff, we got more and more non-smokers, which was great. And then finally, we got our new trailer, and I said, listen, I want a rule in here that, no smoking in the camper. That's bullshit. I said, it's 50-50 now, smokers, non-smokers. I said, this is bullshit that if these guys are in here just chain smoking, and I got to sit outside and it's cold, fuck it, make them go. And that's an argument we had. And the one guy that I used to battle with a lot, he made my job harder because he did not understand. He worked there for a couple of years, still couldn't tell the difference between the two kinds of trees. Couldn't really determine their height. He couldn't lift them by himself, so we'd have to help him with everything. Yeah. He would sit in the camper and just smoke, and he'd be outside. A car would come up. He would come out of the camper and take a customer right from you. So the one time I was there, I was in a pissed mood because I was pissed off they were inside smoking, and I'm breathing my ass outside. Car pulls up. I hear him come out of the camper. I'm like, I'm standing right here. I'll take him. Oh, okay. I'm like, no, they're going to get stuff from inside. They're going to inside the tent to get reeds. So I'm standing outside. He goes back and starts smoking again. Another customer comes. He comes flying out of the camper. I'm like, I'm still standing here, dude. And he's like, oh, okay. And then, so the third car pulls up, and it was a bunch of Hispanics that don't speak English, which are notoriously horrible tippers. Mm-hmm. So I saw them pull up. About 8 of them pulled out of like a Yugo. None of them speaking English. I went back to where the porta potty was. I'm like, let him take them. But the one time what we did was we were unloading, and then a group of us were going to the other spot. So the owner said to him, listen, while going unloading the other spot, I need you to clean up all these branches, sweep, do whatever. We'll be back in 2 hours. If anybody comes, obviously, work as a salesman. But, we need you to do this. He spent the whole time smoking and talking to the other guy who was making reeds. We got back 2 hours later, and nothing was clean, nothing was done, whatever. We're like, yeah, we won't be using you anymore.
Nice.
Was great for me.
Well, anyway, getting back to our
show, a lot of fun.
We've got a fight, one big boxing match last week to talk about. Jamel Herring losing to Shakur Stevenson. That was a pretty one-sided battle. And then the big Friday night fight, Oscar Rivas winning that Bridgerweight championship, the first fight there over actually losing, right? No, he won over Ryan Rozicki. I believe Rozicki was hospitalized with some type of jaw injury or something like that. Yeah, it was a bad one for him. Had a lot less experience going in. He paid for it. So, yeah, then we go to next weekend. We have the big one matchup is Jerome, Ennis, and Thomas Delorme. I'm sure we'll find some other stuff.
That's a nice step up for Jerome Ennis. You know, Boots has really been putting good work in. He's a tremendous prospect. And Thomas Delorme has fought high-caliber competition. He's a fringe contender. He is the type of guy that if you're Boots Ennis, you need to beat him and beat him impressively. And I think he will.
Oh, here's a good one. In Germany. It's our mismatch of the week here. We've got Ramona Kuhn at lightweight, 31-1, fighting Claudia Vig, who is 3-32 with one draw. And it's on the same card as this interesting fight here. Ronnie Gable at welterweight, actually, 28-6 with one draw, fighting a guy named Achilles, but it's not going to be his Achilles heel there because it's Achilles Szabo. His record is 25-27, going against a guy with 28 wins, 6 losses. I wonder who's going to win that one. Place your bets. Over in Tokyo, there's some decent fights on Saturday. Usually they're Sunday fights, but Yasutaka Fujita, 7-1 against not Suzuki, but Izuki Tomioka, who is 7-4-1. But here's the really good fight. Super featherweight Takuya Watanabe, who is 37-10 with one draw, fighting Kazuma Sanpei, who is 20-6, 20 wins, 6 losses. And then down in Baja, Mexico, we have Jackie Nava at super bantamweight, 38-4-4. Fighting Mariana Juarez, who is 55-10-4 for the vacant WBC Diamond female super bantamweight title. And we have our Elvis fight of the week on this card. Elvis in Mexico. Elvis Torres. He is 19-1-2, fighting Eric Encinia, who is 15-4-1. No title on the line there. Elvis is not a world champion. He was too fat for that, right? At the end, anyway. Fat and drugged up for that. Here's one in Russia. Ruslan Fafer at cruiserweight, 27-3, fighting Shigabudin Aliyev, who is 9-0. No title there. Slow week. Next weekend is the big fight. Hello. Fights in Tanzania. Here's a couple worth mentioning. The two co-main events. Ramadani Shauri. He is 25-16 with one draw, fighting IDD Pialari, who is 28-7-1. And the co-main event, Francis Mayayusho, who is 44-18 with 7 draws, fighting Adam Kaipenga, who is 11-2. Yeah. A lot of fights on that card, though. Tanzania, of all places. Stacked card. Not really
Yeah, that's part of Tanzania. He trained at my gym.
Oh, yeah.
One of them fought for a world title.
Yeah, it's a surprising mecca of boxing for the African communities there, countries. DAZN has a big event in London at the O2 Arena. Super lightweights Chantel Cameron and Mary McGee main eventing with 2 titles on the line. WBC World Female Super Lightweight title and the IBF World Female Super Lightweight title. Chantel Cameron is undefeated, 14-0. Mary McGee is 27-3. And I'm a poet and didn't know it. Co-main event, light heavyweights. Craig Richards, 16-2 with 1 draw, fighting Marek Matija, who is 20 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. And then Yusuf Kumari at super featherweight, 13-0-1, fighting Jorge David Castaneda, who is 14-1. That's for the vacant WBC International Silver Super Featherweight title. Boy, I ran out of breath on that one. Heavyweights, Alan Babic, 8-0, fighting Eric Molina, also on the card. He's 28-7. Experience there versus youth, it looks like. A lot of those fights. That's pretty much it for the good ones on that. Let's see what else we got going on Saturday. How about a guy named Michael Birthmark? Wonder how do you get a last name like Birthmark? It's heavyweight too. 3-11 is his record with 1 draw, fighting a guy who's 0-1, so he might get his 4th win. Michael Birthmark. That's funny. There's another guy, featherweight with a funny name, Justice Bland. 4-1. Giovanni Martinez is his opponent, 1-0. Justice Bland. You know, when you do the last name first, that's Bland Justice. Alright, so the big one, Las Vegas.
That was kind of like real bad 80s TV.
Showtime, yeah, that's a bad pun on an 80s comedy there. Jamal James is in the main event on Showtime. For the title anyway, WBA World Welterweight title. He's 27-1, fighting Radzhab Butayev, who is 13-0. Got 1 no contest mix in through his last 6 fights. So, Jerome Ennis, he is 27-0, fighting Thomas Delorme, who is 25-5-1. And he's had a lot of his difficult fights in his last 6. 3 of his 5 losses, and looks like 1 draw. His lone draw. All in his last 6 fights. So he's only got 2 wins in his last 6 fights. But Ennis, yeah, he's up for some good action. So we'll see how this goes. And then we got Jose Matias Romero, 24-1, fighting Michael Rivera, who's 21-0, another undefeated fighter. And Albert Palmetta at welterweight, 16-1, fighting Is Gabriel Solano, who is also got 1 loss, but 1 less win, 15-1 is his record. And we got Jose Tito Sanchez, 7-0 at featherweight, fighting Fernando Garcia, who's 13-3. And we got all the good names this week. We even got Darwin Price, 17-1, fighting Jean Carlos Torres, who is 19-0, looking for win number 20. Okay, and then we got another title on the line at Madison Square Garden Theater in New York on Saturday. Super lightweights Jose Zepeda, 34-2, fighting Josue Vargas, who's 19-1 for the WBC Silver Super Lightweight title. Bantamweights Carlos Caraballo, 14-0, fighting Jonas Sultan, who's 17-5. And then we got Super Bantamweights Jonathan Guzman, 24-1, fighting Carlos Jackson, who's 17-1. Big, good fights on that card. Alright, that's about it this week. We've got to do the find on Paige to see where we missed our Jesus fight of the week. Can't miss that.
Apparently, maybe he wasn't fighting because he doesn't have any vacation.
I know, right? He's got to be fighting. Oh, Jesus has a Saturday off? Are you kidding me? There's not a single Jesus fighting on Saturday. Do we have to look at Sunday?
You know, I didn't really get to see much of the fights last week. But from that Shakur Stevenson, Jamal Herring fight, you know, I was really pulling for Herring. I like him a lot as a fighter and as a person. And but from what I read and what the highlights that I saw, you know, Shakur really was just a leg ahead of him, and you know, stopped in the 11th, but it was pretty one-sided from the start.
All right, so we don't even have an Angel fight of the week. How sad is that? Oh, the closest we can get to a Jesus or an Angel fight is from Spain. We have a 14-0 fighter at featherweight, Bernard Angelo Torres. 14-0, fighting Jairo Duran. I'm not sure if he's related to Roberto, but he's 14-12, so I hope not. That's it for boxing schedule. But we do have to talk boxing a little bit more because we have one of those transition stories to talk about. We also have one more big MMA event to preview for this weekend, UFC 267. But I want to talk about the Professional Fighters League. We just had a fight card last night. I just happened to tune in on. Totally forgot about they had something coming up. But I mentioned something else earlier that I wanted to bring up here. About a fighter that is in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. That reminds me a lot of a current day fighter. And that current day fighter is Ray Cooper III. Scored one of the most incredible comebacker knockouts I have seen all year long, and got the $1 million.
Yes.
Just unbelievable.
Well, you know, it reminded me of that Tank Abbott saying, "You can be on Clear Street, but one turn and you're right back on Main." It looked like he was done.
He was, known
Wow.
for his wrestling, smothering attack. Not so much for his knockout punching, but Magomed Karamov just came at him, started slugging it out with him, and it was like mid-third round. It looked like Ray Cooper was just not going to have any success with his wrestling. He was getting stuffed. Magomed was taking over, and then suddenly Ray Cooper just started picking his punches and just landing these vicious counters. And one combination later, it was done. Magomed was out cold, and it took him a while to come back to his senses. He was out. And that was incredible. That was probably the best PFL fight I've seen so far. And unfortunately, Claressa Shields, the former world-class undefeated boxer, I guess I shouldn't call her former because she's probably still going to box again. I don't believe PFL has restrictive contracts like UFC. So, anyway, Claressa took her first loss. I did see a little bit of the tail end of that one. Abigail Montez pretty much out-wrestled her and actually outstruck her towards the end of the fight. She was landing some really good, some good defense.
And Abigail had a good chin because she did get cracked a few times. And Claressa Shields does look like she hits like a man.
Yeah.
The
problem, I mean, she got some basic on-the-job training, really, is what it was. Her problem is not so much not knowing how to wrestle. She defends the wrestling very well. She strikes off her back fairly decently. But it's just getting back up from being smothered on the ground. She has not enough experience. So this really was like on-the-job training rather than a fight for her. Because she really didn't get tuned up. Like, she probably was a little tired afterwards, but she didn't get, like, a black eye or, a fat lip out of the deal, even.
It was a learning experience for her. But what do you think about Kayla Harrison?
That's the one I didn't see. but she dominated, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Nice quick submission there.
Well,
How did
yeah,
Kayla do?
and
Did she challenge her at all?
I'm sorry, the what?
How did her opponent do? Did she give her any much of a fight or what?
Well, yeah, it was. Her opponent was just trying to survive. It went to the second round. I was kind of surprised because
Yeah.
Kayla got just, she's kind of a one-note Johnny, but she's so good at it. I mean, when she gets to the ground, it's so there's talk of someday her fighting Amanda Nunes, even though they train together and they're in different organizations.
Yeah.
Now Kayla's a free agent as of now. But you got to wonder why she would want to go to the UFC or Bellator when she can keep getting $1 million a year
Right.
by winning these tournaments. I don't know what the UFC could offer her for more than $1 million, but it would be one heck of a fight with her and Amanda.
Oh yeah.
So.
And we also had Bruno Henrique Capoloza beating Ante Daliha by unanimous decision. Mavlid Kaibulev over Chris Wade by unanimous decision. Antonio Carlos.
Yeah,
Jr.
that was that Haguliev guy is just another Khabib.
Yeah,
He has that same style.
very powerhouse type of wrestler.
You can't stop him.
Takes people
He's
down
a
at
super
will.
powerhouse. His stand-up is powerful. And when he gets you on the ground, he's not the greatest submission guy, but it's like you've got an octopus on you. And Chris Wade is no cheap date. In his last fight, he out-wrestled the Division I All-American and when he fought Bubba Jenkins. So, wow, guy's really good.
And then fifth fight of the night, Antonio Carlos Jr. beating Martine Hamlet by rear naked choke. 3 minutes and 49 seconds into that one. And we had a 5-rounder. All 5 rounds. Unanimous decision. Raush Manfio over Loic Radzhabov. And TKO before that. Jordan Young over Omari Akhmadov. That was a 3rd round, 1 minute 32 seconds in. And then we had a preliminary bout there between Julia Budd and Caitlin Young. That was Julia's by unanimous decision. Dawn Madge in the first fight, getting a rear naked choke submission over Nathan Williams. That was 2 minutes and 15 seconds into the second. And this weekend we have UFC 267. I'm going to have to take a little bit more time to make my picks this week. I think I made my picks last week in about 10 minutes. Really get much of a chance to look at these records and figure it out. Not that I would have had much of a chance, because I definitely would never have picked Alex Caceres to be a knockout or stoppage winner the other night. But yeah, these ones, a lot of fights on these records here. So it's going to take some deep diving, especially the main event here. Talk about experience. Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira. Jan Blachowicz's record is 28-8. Glover Teixeira is 32-7. Sounds like an excellent match on paper. We'll see if it translates to the cage. Well, this is going to be another one over there on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. They haven't been over there in a while. But Halloween weekend, October 30th here. Going back. Co-main event. Peter Yan. Waiting in the wings for his title belt chance to get the title back from Aljamain Sterling. But Peter is going to be fighting Corey Sandhagen in the meantime. Peter 15-2, Sandhagen 14-3. Coming off that tough scrap there in his last fight. Islam Makhachev coming in at 20-1, fighting Dan Hooker, who's 21-10. Alexander Volkov, 33-9, fighting Marcin Tybura, who's 22-6. We got Chimaev fighting again, 9-0, looking for big win number 10 in a row to start his MMA career. The pro ranks anyway. Jiang Liang Li, who's 18-6, is his opponent, so a lot of experience there for him to face. But he's been pulling through people, so we'll see. Magomed Ankalaev, 14-1, fighting Volkan Ozdemir, who's 17-5. Amanda Ribas, 10-2, fighting Verna Jandiroba, 17-2. Ricardo Ramos, 15-3, fighting Zubaira Chukagov, who is 19-5-1. Roman Kopylov, who is 8-1, fighting Albert Dreyev, who's 14-3. Elizu Zaleski dos Santos in the sixth fight of the night, 22-7, fighting Benoit Saint Denis, who is 8-0. Shamil Gamzatov, 14-0, fighting Michael Olashuk, who is 15-4. I definitely butchered that one. That is a lot of letters. Makwan Americani, 16-6, fighting Lerone Murphy, who is 10-0-1, undefeated. Yao Zong Hu, 3-2, fighting Andrei Petrovsky in the third fight of the night, 6-1. Magomed Mustafayev, who is 14-3, fighting Damir Ismagulov, who is 23-1 in the second fight of the night. In the first fight of the night, Tigor Ulanbekov fighting Alan Nascimento. Ulanbekov is 13-1. Nascimento 18-5. I don't know. This main event is a tough one. I don't know. I'm pretty confident Peter Yan is going to win the co-main event. I like him in that one. But Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira, I really don't know. That's a toss-up for me.
I'm going with the champ.
Blachowicz, yeah. Glover is one of those types that he could pull off like a Fedor situation. Like, he can just knock you out with one punch out of the blue. So he's kind of got that puncher's chance, but, you know, an adorable 5-round fight, he's probably going to lose by decision. But, you know, he'll keep it tight. So, yeah, I'd probably agree that Blachowicz has a better chance of winning that one, but, you know, if it's going to be a knockout win, there's probably going to be Glover. Who knows, so it could go either way. But I'll have to really go deep in, you know, the computer and, you know, do the common opponent math and check their records and see what kind of feeder leagues, you know, all that stuff in this whole card. But Glover has a lot of experience. He's fought just about everybody there is to fight at that weight. But the question is that something that has worn him down over the years or made him sharp? We'll find out. But he's on a little bit of a win streak, actually. And percentage, his knockout percentage is 18 knockouts for 32 wins, 56%. And then if you want to call it stoppages, you add another 9 to that. That's 28% on top of the 56%. Only had 5 decisions his whole career. Wins, 5 decision wins. But he's got quite the win streak. He's beat Carl Roberson, Ion Cutelaba, Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith, and Thiago Santos. And only one of those was a split decision win over Krylov. The rest of them were stoppages. Submissions and TKO over Smith. Last guy to beat him was Corey Anderson, who's in a different league now. Fighting in the little tournament there, doing pretty well. Before that, it was Gustafsson. What do you think, Tom? Am I making my case? Still like Blachowicz?
I like him.
Alright, well, Blachowicz has
Yes.
the distinction of beating somebody a little bit more of a world beater in his last fight, Israel Adesanya. Although he was stepping up in weight for the first time, that was a very impressive win. And he also has 3 of his 4 last fights before that knockouts.
Yeah, it just seems like when Glover gets that chance, if he just hasn't been able to close the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, maybe I'm wrong, but That's what I've seen.
And if you want to do common opponent math, Blackwood's knocked out Corey Anderson in the first round, 3 minutes and 8 seconds in. So we'll see. We'll see if that translates into real life. If you ever want to do your thesis on common opponent math, this is a fight. We'll test your theory. Anyway. So that's it for that one. I'm definitely, I'm leaning more towards Blackwoods now, looking at it. But I'll analyze every fight and see if I can do better than 60th place. That's so far been my highest, 60th. Usually like 4,000 or 5,000 people. But we'll see. I think that's it for us. I don't think I have anything else lined up. No other stories. Oh, what's this? Brock Lesnar has been suspended. Have you seen this, Tony? What's that all about?
Well, you know, they always do that. Like, he'll come in, do like one of the big payoff shows, you know, SummerSlam, or, you know, I think they had that big Saudi Arabia show about a week or so ago, and then he gets pissed off about something, and then he'll attack like an announcer or an official, and they'll suspend him until the next major pay-per-view, which this time should be either Survivor Series in November or possibly even the Royal Rumble in January.
Well, I believe that means he's just having a vacation. Unlike Jesus, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, until next week, I think that's it for us, and thanks for stopping by.
All right,
guys. Enjoy the fights.
Later.